Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning.
And I'm Trinity French.
And we are your business coaches at Wired to Change.
With the number 2.
We help you get your business to the level you want it to be so you can enjoy the life of a small business owner.
Rain, go away. Make this business owner happier today. It is a rainy, hot day here in steamy Raleigh, North Carolina.
It is, what did Amy Scher sent me, or she posted on Facebook about the 7 seasons of the triangle, and this is like hell hot. This little stretch we're in, and there's fake spring, second winter, beginning of summer, hell, whatever.
Yes, we are in hell summer. It is blazing hot here in the triangle, but we are in the middle of a rainstorm, so it's a little bit of a reprieve. But with these showers come lots of less wilted lawns.
Yes, and we are in the comfortable air-conditioned confines of Purple Comma Studios with our trusted producer, confidant, engineer, all-around good dude, Drago Brynick.
Well, thank you for the kind introduction.
I figured I'd take one.
Let's throw a website designer in there, too.
Yeah. So Drago's going to join us today to talk about testimonials. And this is just another one of those elements of getting your word out.
I would say one of the most important pieces of getting your word out, because having whatever you want to call it, testimonials, reviews, praise, snaps, whatever it is that you want to call it, this is how people read and listen or view to make sure that you are doing well in the eyes of others.
Yes.
And we, whether we like it or not, are herd animals, and we like what other people like. So if a lot of other people like you, guess what? You're going to get more business. This is why when I'm on Amazon, which is a sickness, I find that I don't even want to know how much money I spend on Amazon each month, but I will not buy something without reading the reviews first.
If you are driving downtown, whatever city you live in, 6:30 on a Saturday night or a Tuesday night, it doesn't matter, and you see 25 people lined up outside of the restaurant, what are your first thoughts?
That place must be damn good.
Exactly.
Yummy. Let me get in line. It's worth the wait.
Don't even care what kind of food they serve. Wow, that must be good. But you're right. It's exactly that. And there are numbers. You can just Google numbers on the value of a referral, a testimonial, when somebody, adds it to your company's webpage, what that does, because they go on there and they see 4 or 5-star reviews. They're like, well, I got to call them.
It makes the difference between someone who doesn't have any and has some or has more. The 4-star versus 5-star matters too.
Yeah.
It does. It really does. And sometimes it goes down to you're looking at something and I'm deciding between a 4.8 and a 4.9.
That's a good place to be, though.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely testimonials are ultra important within the business sphere. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about how the hell do you get them?
That sounds familiar to us, doesn't it? We worked with somebody.
We're working with one of our coaching clients on getting testimonials, which is why this is such a pertinent topic. We're also going to talk about where do you put them?
Yes.
And we're also going to talk about the timeliness and how often you should be updating and putting them out.
Yes, and if I've learned anything in conversations with Drago and a couple other people, you don't really want to sit in, and we're members of BNI, which is Business Networking International, so it would not be healthy if all of a sudden 10 reviews showed up on Trinity's real estate page. Google and everybody else would go, all right, hang on a sec.
What's going on here?
Sounds like a scam.
She's trying to trick the algorithm.
I have heard, Drago, that 1 5-star a week is good.
That in terms of a general metric, that's a great number. I can't say that there's a specific safe number out there, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you're just going for 1 a week approximately, you're safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So everybody doesn't have to think, I've got it. 15 is better than 2, and that's not really the case.
Yeah, it really depends. And when going after them, sometimes you got to batch your requests. But we'll get to that point. I'm probably in the podcast.
Right.
Yeah. So I'd say we were working with a client recently who is about a year into her business. and she's doing great. She has received all of her business thus far by word of mouth, and she wants to start working on building her referral-based business because word of mouth, I mean, it's awesome that everybody thinks that she does a great job and that they're passing her on to others, but she's now at the point where she wants to grow and she wants to proactively be reaching out to people and growing her business.
If I may quote you, for people listening, there's a difference between working by referral and your business. You get business by word of mouth. Word of mouth is you do good for your clients and you hope they refer you. And working by referral is exactly what you do, Trinity, is you ask.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
Still got to do a good job.
Yes.
But you are actively asking and staying top of mind with the people who are most likely to be able to refer you.
And that,
Yep.
and we all have to do that. It's like Drago started talking about, is we have to ask our clients and referral partners for the testimonial, which is fine. But again, if they're that wowed by the work you do, they should go, not a problem. Where do you want me to send it? When do you need it?
Usually works out that way.
Yeah.
Usually
Yes.
works out that way.
But you have to ask.
You got to ask, though,
You
first.
have
Step
to ask,
one.
which listeners, we're going to ask now and we're going to ask later that you go out and you review this podcast. Wherever you listen, go out there, leave us a 5-star review. Let us know why you love listening. And if there's any reason whatsoever that you would not leave a 5-star review, call me first and let me know so I can fix it and then review us.
It's an offer you can't beat right there.
Yes,
know.
it is.
I know.
And you know what? If I've used your business, I will return the favor.
Well, and that's one of the points to talk about as well is these testimonial swaps. But again, only offer to do it if it's the truth.
Yes, absolutely.
Got to be coming from a good place.
Because it's your name you just put out there where
Sure is.
everybody can see it.
Oh, yeah. I left a testimonial for someone once and I found out that they were just a complete shit show and I went back and deleted it.
You can
At
do
least
that?
you found out. Oh, most places you
Yeah.
can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, nothing's set in stone, right? If someone does something bad, the business goes downhill, you're going to want to change your opinion, right?
Yep.
Just
Yeah,
like it
that's
happened in this
true.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why one of the biggest pieces of advice from professionals, I don't know who these professionals are, just those people out there in the world, is that if you have a bad review, the best thing that you can do is reply to it
Agreed.
and address
Yeah.
it and make sure that because people are going to read the replies to a bad review and they want to know how you're going to respond to it. And a lot of times somebody, if you fix their problem, they'll go in and they'll modify their review for you. So take it with a grain of salt. None of us are perfect. You may get a bad review now and again from time to time. And people are so much more likely to leave a bad review than they ever are to leave a positive
Absolutely
review.
true.
That number's got to be like 40-1, something
Probably.
ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I don't have a stat for it, but I know that when I'm pissed off about something, 10 people are likely to hear about it versus when I have a good experience, I might tell one.
And we got wind of that when you came in. There's an issue with a closing today.
There is, yes.
And not good.
Not a good issue.
No, but because you've come in here before when you've had closings. Not a peep. Because
Not a
they went
peep,
like clockwork.
because they were great. Came in here today and I was pissed.
Oh, and it was raining. And there was a wreck on
and
40.
there was a car accident. And I'm dealing with one of the worst banks ever trying to get some money sent through. And I'm not going to bash them on our show.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, they are not getting a good review from me. And if at all possible, I will deter any of my clients from using them or giving them any future business.
And that in itself is a testimonial. Mm-hmm. You have a client who wants to buy a nice $500,000 house, and they tell you, "Oh, this is who's my lender," and the minute you go, let me tell you why that's not a good idea.
Let me tell you about the time that my client was homeless and
Yeah.
the next client that was selling it was homeless because the money wasn't there and the bank,
Yeah.
had 4 days to make it happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Last week's show with Brian Smith from iWatch Security, you talked about
Brian, woo woo,
Yep.
you did such a good
Oh,
job.
yeah. You talked about responsibility.
Yes.
It's your ability to respond.
Mm-hmm.
It should, and you would think if you have an unhappy customer, you would want to address it. But you know
You
what?
would think, but
Yes.
most people stick their head in the sand and pretend or wait or whatever it is that they're doing. They're just not manning up to the situation. And all of this could have been dealt with so much more professionally. One, the communication was terrible along this transaction. And then when things started getting a little rocky, the communication stopped. So to go from terrible communication to absolutely no communication, I don't care if the building is on fire. Tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me the building's on fire. I might know a great firefighter.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Rain's coming in an hour anyways.
I just want to solve the problem.
But yeah, it's our job to manage our clients' expectations.
Oh, yeah.
And if we know something happened at the restaurant story you told, Brian.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Which
name. Have you still remember that name?
cannot remember the name of the stinking restaurant. You know, I totally meant to look that
Yeah.
up for the future shows just so people know what it was, but I
Yeah.
still can't remember.
But what I like about the story, though, is just like a bad review on your website, the manager acknowledged you instead of going, "This is our best waitress. It didn't look slow to me," and just kind of blew you off. But he acknowledged that.
He did. He did not try to
Diminish your experience.
exactly.
Yeah.
He was like, "You're totally right. You had a really crappy experience, and I'm going to do everything in my power for you to
Have a better one.
have
I
a
guess.
better
Yeah.
experience and also to come back because
Mm.
every time I've gone there since, I have spent a crap ton of money." And
How good was that dip he sent you home with?
oh my God, it's so good.
I could hear that in your voice
it
when I was editing.
So good. It's like a red pepper dip and it's spicy and delicious. And oh gosh, I could just eat a whole tub of it, which I pretty much did because he sent me home literally with a tub of dip. And I was like, yes.
Drago, have you had clients that were hesitant to respond or didn't understand maybe the implications for not responding at least quickly?
Not in recent memory any
Okay.
time. Just because what we were just chatting about a second ago, like I was blazingly aware that setting expectations is one of the largest parts of my or any one person's job.
Yep.
So that's what I really try to do from day one, really set expectations.
Yep.
So that can't really say it's been a problem for myself.
So there's
It's City downtown.
Oh, I love City.
Yes.
Oh.
My gosh. Woo. Thank you, Google.
I've been there a ton.
Yeah. So I had a really, really terrible experience there. And
Oh, yeah, and it makes sense. It's probably an isolated incident because you've been back, I've been
I
back,
have been
and it's
back,
been good.
and
Yeah.
I am so glad that manager made it right because every time I've gone back, it has been phenomenal. The food's been great, the service has been great. So if I hadn't brought it up, I would have not have known that he was willing to make it better. But going back to most of your clients don't want to rock the boat and are not going to tell you if something's going poorly. So you have to ask. As much as we don't like to hear the negative feedback, we need to ask what it is that we could be doing better and how we can help them have a even better experience. Because even at Disney, which, you know, is the experience capital
Happiest
of the
place
world,
on earth.
happiest place on earth, there are still things that they can do to make it an even better experience. And they're always going through the process of innovating and coming up with more ways to wow, because you don't want your experience at Disney to be the same year after year. You want it to just keep getting better and better.
In previous lives, I have managed 2 facilities, and Becky and I have had this conversation where we would go to a restaurant or go shopping, or she went somewhere and just wasn't happy with something. I said, "Did you tell the manager?" And she said, "No, I didn't really want to." I said, "But they need to know that. If it's enough where you come home and you tell me how bad it was, which you rarely do, they need to know that. Now, it's up to them how they process it, but they need to hear if nobody was at the customer service counter or the waitress didn't come by for a waiter didn't come by for 8 minutes. They just need to know that." So
They do. And sometimes it's the little things that make a huge difference. Scott and I were out. We stopped to get dinner last night on our way home from looking at a house. And yes, we'll talk about that later.
Can you cut your own commission?
Luckily, it's on the buy side, so
Okay,
get commission and buy a house.
Nice.
But we were at a Greek restaurant because I obviously love food that is not of the norm. The guy that was at the front desk or the counter was on the phone and never once made eye contact or acknowledged that we were waiting in line. And Scott was fuming. He was like, why doesn't this guy just look up and say 1 minute? You know, like, or just acknowledge that we're here.
That's what I was going to say. Acknowledge your presence.
Just acknowledge that we're here. And it was just driving him crazy. And it didn't really it didn't bother me. But then once he said it, I was annoyed, and I'm just like staring him down, waiting for him to just acknowledge that we're there. So we know that he knows to at least hurry up, or that, you know.
Was he on his cell phone?
No, he was probably taking a to-go order or something, which is totally fine. Just acknowledge we're there. But that, in and of itself, probably wouldn't. So that was kind of like that wasn't the best coming in experience. So different than like when you walk into Moe's, welcome to Moe's, you know, like I hate it. It makes me feel super embarrassed every time I walk into Moe's.
Me too. I don't like that much attention.
I don't want that much attention walking into a food place, but I also want to be acknowledged. And then our food wasn't that great. And it's just, so then all these little things started adding up, and all those little things kind of made it to the point where when we left there, I was like, I don't know that I would ever go back.
And that guy set the tone at the front desk.
Yes.
Had he greeted you and you got there and the food was just okay,
we probably would have been like, all right, you know, it was just an off night or something. But the food not being that great, Scott went up to get our sandwiches. The guy had our sandwiches made, hadn't even put the French fries down yet, and it was just like a cascading effect of just poor crap service. So we won't be going back.
There you go. Let's talk about some of the different places you can put a testimonial.
Yes.
All right.
And I'm going to ask Drago, which place is the most important for us to put testimonials?
So obviously, most answers have many different kinds of possibilities because different industries have different types of customers. But the overwhelming answer for 99% of people out there is going to be Google reviews.
Yep.
The standard good old Google search. The caveat to that is if you're in B2B, an argument could be made for putting a little more effort into getting some LinkedIn recommendations. But definitely those two are definitely tied for number one. I don't think that part's up for debate.
And then I'd say the third is Facebook reviews.
I'd say so, yeah. Facebook, and then trailing after that is all the other kind of third-party websites like your Yelps.
Right.
But those I really, because there's so many third-party ones, I usually don't recommend we focus effort on those just because there's so many. Yeah. And especially when we know that LinkedIn and Google give you so much bang for your buck.
And I think it depends on your industry. So you need to know for your industry, where are people looking or going to get recommendations? Because if I'm a restaurant, I'm probably not going to be focusing on getting LinkedIn reviews.
Nope.
Because I'm not going on LinkedIn to find out if Citi had any other bad reviews.
Exactly.
I'm going on LinkedIn to find out if I need a recommendation for a new doctor, or if I need a job, or if I'm looking to connect with a professional service. So
now here,
you need to know your industry and where to post for your industry.
Here comes the guy who's learning stuff, because you two are a little ahead of me on this stuff. When I go to Google, I type in Google, and so let's say Citi, all right, or you go to Citi, all right.
I'm gonna see what they're
right. Once Trinity types in, hey, you know what? Originally this happened, but the manager came out and took such good care of us. I've been back 5 times since. Once she submits that, where does that go?
So depending on the type of situation, it sits in, well, lack of a better term, it's called a queue in the Google database, and it just sits there until it makes sure there's no like profanity, anything like that, and then it pretty much automatically gets put right up on there. It's only if your account's been flagged before that's got to be reviewed by a human being.
But that goes into Google. That does not go to their website.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes directly, assuming they're putting it into Google.
It goes into Google.
Yep.
So one of the things that I wanted us to talk about today is getting people's permission to reuse and repurpose their reviews as well. In our day and age, it's difficult because, I love getting testimonials that I can put on my website because that's where I send people, because I have pictures of my happy clients. I have testimonials on there. But if somebody is just Googling me, it's not very likely that they're going to go to my website, go on there, look at the testimonials. They're probably going to just look at my rating on Realtor.com or for real estate, or they're going to, for Wire to Change, they're going to look at our rating on Google reviews. Or on our Facebook reviews.
Are all your realtor reviews on how do you get them onto your website, and how do they go onto Realtor.com?
So typically I will ask people if they are willing to do it on Realtor.com first, and then I ask for their permission to take that off there and use it as a testimonial.
Gotcha. Okay.
And 99% of them are totally okay with that. A lot of people are more likely to send me a written testimonial than they are to go onto Realtor.com, because you have to log into their website, and then they're stalking you and they're sending you stuff.
That's the friction point.
And
that's
people
it right there.
don't want to go through that hassle of giving them their email address to put that review on there.
And I totally get it as a consumer too, because depending on the situation, it's a daunting task just to sign up for another account, get another spam email.
Exactly.
Just for that. So I get it from both sides of the coin as a consumer and a business owner.
Yeah.
So that's why this is such
and when I'm
a tough
asking
topic.
for Realtor.com reviews, I tee it up to my clients and say, hey, use your spam email account, because they might start emailing you or reaching out to you or
I just assume,
marketing to you.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
So, and they're really thankful for that. They're like, thanks for not letting me use my, go-to email address, because the email I have for them is their primary email that they want, because, when we're communicating, it's urgent.
And let's talk about what should be talked about here is everybody's got to have a spam email account. You gotta. I hope everybody listening does. People don't talk about it that much, but I do.
I guess I've never really talked about it like this, so to speak. But everyone needs to have one. And
you should.
Yeah.
Ever since 2005.
Yeah.
Make it easy.
I mean, I have a Yahoo email address that the only thing that I use it for is to sign up for coupons.
Yep.
And if I have to sign up for something I'm shopping for online, it's my spam. It's the thing that I know is going to get spammed.
Agreed.
And then I keep everything else out of my personal email. So if you don't have that, hint from your coaches, go set yourself up a spam email account. You can get a free one on Gmail or Yahoo or anywhere.
What did I see the other day that's still around?
By the way,
Yes.
City has a 4.5 star rating on Google.
And in my opinion, that's good for restaurants.
I think that's really good. And it's of over 1,800 reviews.
That makes it even better.
That's a good
which,
number.
to me, I'm thinking,
There's a bunch of
there's
fives.
a bunch of fives, bunch of people that are saying, and for that many people to go out and review something means that they're doing a good job.
They're overwhelmingly 4 and 5s, and there's a few not
And
so
you're
nice people leaving 1s and 2s. And those reviews, honestly, I don't even take them to heart, because they're complaining about stuff you shouldn't be complaining about.
Well,
Like the stuff I review, it was too
the
cold.
free Wi-Fi on the plane
the
is
Wi-Fi was
loading too slow.
Yeah, stuff like that.
well, it's like Brian mentioned last week. They got a 1, and he thinks it was from a competitor because they never quoted them a price.
Right.
So that's why you should be looking into that to understand who that's coming
that
from.
absolutely happens. And I wish I was actually in on that podcast so I could contribute to the conversation, because that stuff has happened to me and my clients in the past. And if it's pretty clearly obvious that it's fraudulent, you can get Google to scrub it off.
Okay.
Because
that's good to know.
Yeah, whenever, and there's things called negative SEO attacks that are along the same lines, that if you inform Google of what's going on, they'll scrub it if it's clearly fraudulent.
Oh.
The quick definition difference between a review and a testimonial. Just so everybody knows what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So they're pretty much I would consider them the same.
Okay. All right.
For me, a review is something that typically is unsolicited. And a testimonial is something that you go out and get from somebody.
Interesting. My definition is slightly different. For me, it'd be whether humans involved. You give a testimonial to a human being. I like Mike.
Right.
I give a review of a product. I liked Mike's product. So that's the distinction I like to make.
And I always think of the review like at a restaurant, a movie. It was a consumer based, and we were just there, loved it or hated it, and that. And then the testimonial would be, "Hey, Mike, we just happy to be your realtor, selling your house, would love this." And in my mind, that's more personal. Trinity was wonderful to work with because. And then I recommend everybody call Trinity to sell their house.
Yeah.
Whereas in the review, restaurant was wonderful, food was hot when it came out, everybody was nice. That's kind of in my mind.
So it's the personal touch level.
Yeah, but so it's interesting that the three of us
The
were
three of us
close.
all have a little-
we all have
all
the same
a little
general
different.
idea,
Yep.
just a slightly different.
Yep.
Slightly.
We just wanted to make sure everybody was kind of on the same page. So, yeah.
Yeah. So when I ask for and I think I ask for reviews and I also get testimonials. I do both because reviews tend to have a little bit higher sense of honesty than a testimonial because it's going through a third party. Right? Because for somebody to go on to Google, log in, put their email address in, same thing with realtor.com, like there's another party that somebody's going through. They're almost jumping through a hoop to make that happen, which legitimizes it, versus when I get a testimonial that I put on my marketing materials or whatever, I've asked that person for it.
Yeah.
And sometimes people think, well, it's not entirely, there can be a little bit of discredit to testimonials because people are put on the spot and no one's going to give you a shitty testimonial when you ask for it.
Yeah.
They might avoid you.
Yes.
I've had businesses ask me for a testimonial and I have just sort of
Dodge the subject.
dodged it until they finally
Stiff
left
arm.
me alone because I was like, yeah, I really don't want to leave you a testimonial because I wasn't super excited with the business that you did.
Yeah. Talk about a couple of different ways you get reviews and testimonials from people. How do you ask them? What do you send them? How easy do you make it for them?
So for my real estate clients, I make it as simple as possible. So when I am getting a testimonial, I will either call them and interview them, and then I write it up. So I literally call them and ask them a bunch of questions, and then I write it for them and say, hey, does this look good? And they go, yep. And I make it as simple as stinking possible.
Which is the goal, yes.
Yeah. Plus my writing, I can accentuate the things that in terminology that they might not know.
Okay.
Which just lends it a little bit more professionalism
For the next person.
Okay.
Now, some of my clients, I ask them and they write amazing testimonials without me needing to even prompt them or ask them. If somebody sends me a really nice email saying something great about what I've done, I'll ask them if I can use that as a testimonial on my website. So I'm always on the lookout
I do that a
for if they're giving me positive feedback, I'm like, that's so awesome. I really appreciate it. Would you mind?
Yep.
Can I use this as a testimonial? Do you mind if I use your name? I find that on my website, I like to have their name associated with it so people know it's a real person and not just something I made up.
Yep.
So for our Wired to Change testimonials, we have, past clients and referral partners that have worked with us and then their first name and last initial on there so people know it's a real human.
Have you done a poll before, or a survey, before for clients, either for you or Hunter Row in general?
So at the end of each transaction, one of our team members calls each of our clients and asks them to rate us in different areas on a 1 to 10. So I'm not polling all of them, but I'm polling them individually to find out their honest feedback about what it is, so I asked them about how they felt about working with me, how they felt about the process, and how they felt about my client service manager. And they can rate each of those a 1 to 10. So they might rate me an 8, Jamie a 10, the process a 9, or whatever it is. So I know where I need to work on and improve.
Good.
And the feedback I get from those, if it's really good, then I'll ask to use that as a testimonial as well.
And how many questions do you put on there? In general, how long should that take somebody to fill out?
That is something that they usually will call and try to do it over the phone to gather that feedback. If they can't reach through their phone, they send it via email. the response rate's fairly high because at the end of the transaction, so like today with Cassidy, I let her know, hey, somebody from my team's gonna be calling you. I want you to be really honest because this is how we learn and grow and get better. Give us feedback on how the transaction was for you. And, so, you know, I would appreciate if you take their call or return their email. Mm-hmm. So I'm teeing it up. And the one thing that I learned so in new construction, a lot of times new construction managers get their bonuses and stuff based off of these score sheets that they have their clients fill out. And they literally ask, will you please give us all 10s? Yeah. Because their bonuses are based off of that. Oh. So I don't ask that because when my team is calling and asking for feedback, I legitimately want that feedback. I want to know, okay, if my client service manager wasn't a 10, why?
Yeah. If there's any kinks in your armor, you want to know why.
If I wasn't, you know, like what went wrong, what could have been done better, was the communication up to par? So I want to know that actual legitimate feedback, which I think is part of the power of calling and getting a testimonial, because while you're getting the testimonial, you can also get feedback about your business that allows you to pivot, make moves, make changes, innovate, be stronger, even faster than if you just, you know, do a good job and hope and pray that people are going to acknowledge it.
Bad feedback at the right time can save and propel your business.
Yes.
If it's 100%. At the right time and you're made aware of a glaring hole you have in your operation, I think that's a positive thing. I'd rather know about it now than go down the road 4 years and then have this huge problem, right?
But it goes back to the new construction stuff. Does that, I guess the individual benefits from it because they get a bonus, but does the company really benefit from that?
No.
But yet they keep doing it, right? Yeah. Tell me somebody above the person who's getting the bonus knows what's going on. Tell me they know.
In a larger corporation, I'm willing to bet they do. And they don't care because it's a larger corporation. But the smaller ones, I bet they care.
And then they can say, look, we've gotten 10.
We have 100% customer satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you're telling people to give you 10s because you want your money.
And really, where else are you going to go once you've committed to have them build your house, right?
Yeah. So it's, and that whole experience, I've watched these new construction managers ask my clients for it because they do it at the walkthrough. They say, hey, here's part of the process. You know, you're filling out all your paperwork and then you're going to get this survey and will you please fill it out because it's really important for, and they basically come out and say, I'm going to be getting paid based off of this survey. Mm-hmm. And it makes me feel a little icky because what if there is something that you legitimately weren't happy with?
Yeah, what if you hit on my wife during the walkthrough or something?
I wouldn't be happy about it at all.
Then he's a stone cold fox.
Well, she'll drop his ass right there. I don't worry about her. But I'm with you. That puts the consumer in a very
uncomfortable spot.
Position.
Hey, give me this review, but only give me 10s.
That's fine. Then if you cut me 10% back, right? I'll give you a 10. Yeah. And let me get that in writing. I won't show your boss.
Anyways.
Video testimonials, Drago. Oh. What's the value of video these days?
Just like the old adage goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And then a video's worth 1,000 pictures, so to speak. Just like a review is awesome. A video review is basically gold, but at the same time, I don't want to say impossible to get, but if the barrier to entry for most people is, signing up for an account to get a review, if that's tough, a video review is going to be doubly tough. And in my opinion, it's only been successful with your, what do you want to call it? Your fan base fans, like your number one all-stars that absolutely love you, die hard. And they're willing to take literally time out of their day to show up in someone's studio to get this, little testimonial filmed. Yeah. So they're amazing. They're worth their weight in gold. They're just tough to get.
So if I got a video testimonial, where would I want to put that?
I would blanket the internet with that thing. I would put on my social media. I'd put on YouTube. I'd put on my website. Again, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Just like I said, it goes so far. If I had something like that, I would plaster it over the internet.
And I get that because I can see your face. I may see a written review, Drago B. I'm like, okay, but when I see you identifying yourself on,
And especially in local markets, that like if you especially work in a local market and you're big on a certain geographic area, people are going to know you. And so if someone sees your face somewhere else, that's going to hold a lot of stock depending on who you're doing the review for.
Yeah, and that brings up a really good point about being able to put things on YouTube. And I was just sitting here I wrote down gold because I don't have any video reviews, and I feel like this is an area that I need to stick a toe in the water and make it happen.
When you take your picture in front of the house with a couple that just bought it or sold it, man, roll your video right there.
So I have a bunch of short videos of them like jumping up and down, and so I guess I kind of have, but I don't have a video of them talking, saying like what a great experience it was or what it was that was great about it.
And you're right there, so yeah.
That would be really easy to do, and they're super excited.
Yeah, you can make it real easy, actually. I just had an idea just sitting there. When after the sales close, so to speak, and you show up to the house for the first time, you could just bring a care package, surprise them at the door, and just see their natural reaction. And
like Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah,
Here's
$1
million.
Be like, you just moved into your new home. What do you
mortified
think?
if somebody did that to me. I'd be like, I have no makeup on. So
okay, maybe it's not such a good idea.
So that's not worth $1 million, really? Oh, jeez.
But if I gave them a quick warning that I'm coming by and I'm going to take a picture with them, then they would be
ready to go. Fair enough.
Which I like.
Okay.
I like to give them a little warning because I know how my women clients can be.
That's fair.
And actually even some of my male clients need to primp and prep. So some of them even longer.
Yeah, if you're
than
coming to my
girls.
house, I gotta look pretty.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Gotta put on my blazer, all the nines.
Yeah, you need to put on one of your multicolored. You got the red checker blazer. What are the other ones?
I haven't really been able to use those
No.
ever since we've been, not meeting so much in person. But
how many of those blazers do you have?
Probably about 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Well, basically one of every primary color, and then some with multiple colors, just if I'm feeling fresh.
Just goes with how you feel that morning.
Yeah, it goes
right?
how I feel that morning.
So for Facebook reviews, I've noticed that they've changed the review format on Facebook. It used to be really easy to leave a review on Facebook, and now they've made it a little bit more difficult.
I'm not sure what to say about that. It's just a natural, I guess, evolution. They found certain holes and
tried to plug them.
Yeah, try to plug them, for lack of a better term. Yeah, and in turn that makes it more difficult, I guess.
How do you guys feel about LinkedIn recommendations and people asking for those? Mike, I wish that I could show your face on this podcast sometimes because you.
I wish I was holding my phone differently. I could have got a screenshot right there.
It's one of those. It's noticeable if there aren't any, but if you have them, people just kind of go, "Huh," and I think they just scroll right by. But if I were to go on your page and there would be none, I don't know if I'd give it a lot of thought, but it would pop out at me. But if I see like 20, I'm like, okay.
And just for the viewers out there, let's be clear. Are we talking about the actual recommendations or endorsements?
The
Those are two different
recommendations,
things.
because the endorsements I feel like are fluff.
Yeah, very low barrier to entry. That's what I was about to say.
Yes.
That's a like on Facebook.
Boom,
yes,
I agree.
Exactly.
Boom.
I mean, I could go in and be like, I endorse you for this, and I endorse you for this, and I don't even know you, but I feel like you're a good marketer. I think you might be good at coaching. I think you might be good at social media. And
when I first started, I just like everyone else, I was learning it, and so I thought they were more than they were, and then I realized, oh, this is just fluff. I need to put my effort into like recommendations and things like that.
Yeah.
I think most people that are active on LinkedIn probably have about 20 endorsements and 2 recommendations. If you go back and look.
I haven't actually looked that closely, to be
Again,
honest.
because it doesn't jump out of you. And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't jump,
Right. You're going to call for a restaurant for Trinity. She's going to Google that and go, all right, we've never been here before.
Exactly.
Rather than call 40 friends and say, have you ever been there? I'm going to go straight to that site. That's easy. But if you need a painter for your house, you're going to call somebody you already know and go, hey, Trinity, I know you deal with a bunch of houses. Who's the best painter you recommend? And then you might go look them up on LinkedIn. but after somebody's given you that name, I think.
And what you just said is why online reviews, wherever they are, hold so much value, because you might not have that friend who's tried that service, but then there's a ton of human beings who had tried that service, and they're giving you your opinion. So,
and Trinity may say, oh, call Steve. I use him for all the stuff. And then you go to Steve's website to check him out, and you see 3 of your friends that have recommended him, plus Trinity's name. You're like, oh, okay. I'm not even giving this a second.
And that's what I was talking about
Steve.
earlier. Yeah, if you're in a local geographic area and you see certain names pop up, you're gonna be like, "Oh man, I'm automatically gonna go over here."
Yeah. So, are you a fan of building a submission form on the website? Because Trinity loves websites and crap.
And it's evolved a lot over the years. So let me just take a second to tell you what it looks like here in 2020. So the idea of what we're talking about right now is called reputation management. That's the overall idea of what we're talking about. And we've built this cool piece of software that we use for any client that requests it of us, where it's basically a form. You can put it anywhere. You can put it in an email on MailChimp. You can put it on your website. Anywhere you want that you can embed HTML, you can put the form. And basically what the form does is it asks you, kind of like Trinity was talking about earlier, a series of questions that are important to you, so you can get feedback for your business, because it's a twofold thing. It's to get feedback for your business and to get a review. So we ask the questions we want to get those kind of feedback answered. And then at the very end, we ask, were you pleased with your service from, Trinity's real estate group? If it was a 5-star, no, I'm gonna start opposite way. If it was 1, 2, 3, or 4 stars, so AKA not a 5-star, we ask why, and then the process stops. If it is a 5-star, we ask, if you have another second, we'd appreciate you putting this post online, and we automatically feed them to Google or Yelp or wherever the client wants to go. So if it's 4 or less, no review. It's a 5-star, automatically gets bumped over there. So yeah, big fan of website forums.
Right. We flew Delta to Dallas last weekend for our niece's wedding, and I'm a big fan of Southwest, and I'm a big fan of Southwest. Plus, they don't sell the middle aisle right now, so
right on.
Oh, big time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Delta and American, I think most of them do. Southwest said, no, we're not doing that.
Right on.
Which is great.
I'm a Southwest guy.
And I got a survey for our trip out there, so I'm sitting home sitting at my sister-in-law's house and just going through some emails and saw that. And it's, check is what was enjoyable about your trip. And I said, well, everybody was supposed to be where they're supposed to be, and what was supposed to happen happened.
Yeah.
Everybody was nice. We got to where we go, no delays.
Which it's sad to say, but that's rare in this day and age.
Yeah.
When someone says, I'm going to do this, and then they actually do it.
Yeah, everybody's good. I love Southwest. When we were getting off the plane, on the way back, we flew from Dallas to St. Louis, and then St. Louis to Raleigh. So we got off the plane in St. Louis, and the 2 flight attendants out front were hysterical. They had some dance music going on while people were deboarding. Hysterical. Everybody in it kind of walked by. It's like, hey,
bobbing their
hey, you
head.
guys have a good day. It's like, man, we appreciate all that. But that's what I love about Southwest.
I love when they call people up and they have them do karaoke over the intercom.
Well, I've never had that happen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was on
I'm
the
missing out.
world's longest flight delay when I was in New York at LaGuardia, the world's worst airport on the planet.
Agreed.
And it was all made better by the airport karaoke.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
They're
Southwest.
on the flight we went from Raleigh to Nashville on the way to Dallas. And on the flight, they're about halfway through. The flight attendant got on there saying what they normally say and said, by the way, we've got, and I forget the lady's name, so I'll pick Emily. I don't know. Said, folks just want you to know we've got a first-time flyer on here. Her name is Emily. Let's give Emily a round of applause for making this flight for the first time. Everybody clapped. And way ahead of us, there's this short little old lady's arm. She had to have been like 70. And that's the first time she ever flew, and the whole plane gave her.
Oh, that's so cute.
But I like that, yeah. So anyways, those are good. Those are things I'm happy to put in reviews and stuff like that.
So for reviews, the thing that I think is most important is that you need to have them posted regularly, and you need to have some updated recent reviews. So if you did a great job getting reviews in 2016 and you haven't gotten one since, that is going to hurt your overall your SEO. It's going to hurt your chances of people thinking that you're legitimate. They're gonna be like, "What is Drago still in
They're gonna
business?"
yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say
what
they're
the
gonna
heck?
wonder if you're still around.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's been 4 years, then who knows? Yeah.
So I think that that's very important when it comes to getting and maintaining your really good reviews. One of the things that Mike and I talked about is sending a template for clients to use to fill out reviews. Make it as simple as possible for them.
You get my attention if you
Absolutely.
say just fill this out, or is this okay?
Yes.
You got my attention, but hey, I need you to write me. And I don't mind writing. I'm a halfway decent writer, but I'm like, yeah, really? That's how much I meant to you as a client. I got to write it down. So
Yeah, a template's a great idea,
Yep.
and it is absolutely A-OK with all of the review websites in terms of service. The only thing they don't want you doing is straight up like paying people for reviews. That's where things get.
people would never offer
Of course
something
not.
for a review.
Oh no.
And folks, clean your own soul with that. That's all I'll say.
I think I've been bribed a time or two
Oh,
to leave a
absolutely.
product
Yeah.
or service review.
Yep.
Anything else that you guys can think about for testimonials and reviews that our listeners need to know?
Just ask if they are that happy with you. If they've been your client for 5 years, they're probably happy. Ask
Yep.
them.
As the old adage goes, initiating the conversation is half the battle. you got to ask for the review,
Yeah.
and that's something even I'm guilty of to this day. I got to
Oh, yeah.
ask. Got to
Yeah.
ask.
This has been a good reminder. I'm all fired up now to go
I am
out.
too.
and
I was actually
I'm
gonna say that.
"Man,
I need to
we
do
need
this
to go ask
tomorrow,
for
right
some
away."
Reviews. We need to get some testimonials, maybe make some video.
Yeah.
This is I'm on fire and ready to go. And of course, I'm on fire about you reviewing this show because
Yes.
we love your reviews, and that's how you're going to help us get to the top of the charts. We want to be up there with the big dogs, and the only way we're going to get there is by our listeners, our loyal fan base, sharing us, subscribing to us, and reviewing us. And we are going to adore you for doing it.
And we appreciate you taking the time and the effort to do that. That tells us hopefully you're getting something out of the podcast, and that will incentivize us even more to keep bringing you quality entertainment and knowledge. And with that, we will see you next time on our Wired to Change podcast.